Well, hi there, and welcome to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
Hey, I'm Eric Stromer.
And I'll never forget the time when I was dating my husband. I found this little bird nest outside his house. And I thought, oh, that would be a cute decoration. And my now husband said at the time, uh-oh, this is not good.
You mean just as a general, like, who is this person?
Well,
or I don't know if I want a bird nest in my house.
Well, it was kind of, let's just say it's a collectible.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought we'd talk about collections.
Sure.
And creatively
You mean, like,
displaying.
did you used to actually collect birds nests?
I didn't. But it could have become so. But if
Yeah.
you do collect birds' nests,
Yeah.
the whole idea is if you have a collection,
Sure.
it looks like something.
Yeah.
But if in
But if you
your
just have
house
one ratty
little
old
bird's
bird-
nest, it doesn't look good. So anyway, let's just say it was kind of a foreshadowing of things to
Sure.
come.
Yes. But I will say, you do a beautiful job of collecting these antique radios. So you've clearly learned something from the bird nest days.
Thank you.
To now, because I think those are really cool.
Yeah. So that's the lesson, is that you have to be strict with yourself. You can't go nuts, because otherwise it goes from collectibles to junk
Yeah.
and hoarding. But if you have
You mean the H word?
the H word.
Yeah.
But if you have just what do you collect? Do you collect anything besides tools?
I collect guitars and basses.
Okay.
That I love all stringed instruments, and I've got.
You collect water.
I got way too many of them.
You collect water treatments, like water fountains, and I would say that you display them.
Some would say, especially my oldest son Wyatt, that I've got an issue as it pertains to creating and
water.
Oh, here comes Dad. He's making another water feature. My house. It's like people come to my house and they always have to go to the restroom because you just hear the.
It's nice.
It's very tranquil, and I don't hear the Van Nuys Airport
I
quite
love
as
that.
much as I used to.
So I would say that's your collection.
Thank you. It's
So
very kind
let's
of you.
let's talk about things that you might have
Yeah.
that are in different parts of the house, or in your apartment, or maybe in storage.
Don't say it.
And but you want to turn it into something that really looks great. It now looks like a designer would. It's a neat collection. So, for instance, those vintage bread boxes.
Yeah.
They look really cool. Like if you have a kind of a vintage kind of a kitchen, and you had the shelf up above, and then if you had maybe half a dozen of them in kind of pastel colors.
I have one of those.
You do?
Yeah. One of them.
One of them.
And I love it because it keeps my cat Jack eats bread.
Okay.
As it turns out, I come downstairs before I got this thing, and I would find bread torn apart on the floor with big chunks torn out of the loaf of the bread.
So you got the bread box.
But have you ever heard of a cat that eats bread?
No.
My cat eats bread.
Okay. So now Jack's not, because it's in the
Jack
vintage.
is not, because it's in the vintage box.
So if you had maybe two more, it would really look like a collection.
I love those things, by the way.
Yeah, they
and
look.
And the good news about having those, if they were displayed up high, like on a shelving system above, close to the ceiling, you can put stuff in them and store it there, and you don't see it, and it looks great.
Like Willow's artwork.
Thank you. Full circle. Yeah, that's right. I got a lot of disparate art pieces that are all over the house. Yeah,
How about if you have some of those really cool trays that are very vintage? They're like these black trays that have gold paint on them. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
And
yeah,
flowers.
like old cocktail trays.
Yeah, and you might even find a few of these like at an antique store, or maybe you have inherited them, or you have always had them, and maybe they're just sitting in a cupboard somewhere. But if you had, let's say, 3 of them, or maybe more of them, and you put them on the wall, that's
I
really
think a
neat.
collection's got to be at least 3.
3.
Yeah, anything under that, it ends up looking like, hey, you got stuff on sale. Yeah.
This is more like this is an intention.
Yes, that's
this was
right.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's staged in such a way that the grouping reveals itself, right? And that's how you know that it's a collection versus 9 different, exercise bikes in the living room. We know that that's just hoarding.
Yeah.
The H word. Sorry, go ahead.
How about those antique washboards? You might have acquired 1 or 2. And maybe if you have a few of them, that can look really cool, especially if you have kind of a cottage-style home, almost a farmhouse
You mean like the old things that used to go in the sink and with the ridge on it?
Yeah. And it might even have some logo or hardware store
That's a cute
on
idea.
top. You know what I mean?
That's a great wall treatment.
Yeah, very cute. And then you just...
I like the collections when they are hung on a wall because they can become sort of an effective
It's
way
art.
to create art on
Yeah.
a wall. When it's like stuff on a shelf, it ends up taking up a ton of room and looking kind of cluttery to me.
It certainly can.
Yeah.
How about taking some of your plates that you have? Maybe you have some china that hasn't been used for
I
a
have
while.
china that's used once a year,
Yeah.
which I still to this day don't understand.
Do you
that whole
like the
idea.
china?
It's fine, but you know what I mean. Like I got to keep a bunch of stuff from somebody's grandmother that we use on one,
Yeah.
and then don't break the plate. Like you have to
Right.
be so careful around
nervous.
it. I don't know about the whole idea.
Well, so you could maybe mount some of these plates.
I think it'd be better on the wall.
the
At least you
wall.
see it.
Then you see it, and then when
Yeah.
it's time for Thanksgiving, you could then wash it up and use it.
I don't know if I want to get
No?
into the whole thing because everybody breaks stuff in my house. It's like I'm in a Greek restaurant 24 hours a day.
Well, maybe you could do some other things. Maybe let's say that you had plates, and instead of hanging them just on the wall, you could create almost like a rack, so that it's like a custom rack that displays oversized dishes.
See, that'd be pretty.
So they're just kind of tucked up against the wall,
Yeah.
and they're secured.
Then it becomes an art
Mm-hmm.
exhibit. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I could go with that.
So again, we're thinking of things that they're vertical frequently,
Yeah.
and or they could go horizontal. So for instance, let's say you collected old glass bottles.
Sure.
Maybe you found some from different antique stores, or you maybe, unearthed them on some old property, and it had, like my husband has them from his family's ancestors. There's a city in Pennsylvania that has his last name on it, and so he has these
Oh, wow.
bottles.
That's a good idea.
And so if you had enough of those, or maybe you collect old Coke bottles,
That's kinda cool.
if you had like a nice ledge above a master bedroom closet, and they were all in a row, it could look kind of cute.
That is cute.
It's a
I like
nice
that.
decorative thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The idea is to make it like it truly is, collection. Anyway, we
Sure.
have more ideas on how to display your collections. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, you're listening to Home Wizards. Remember to check us out at yourhomewizards.com.
It's killing me. I need to relax and watch TV. Get off the phone, give a dog a bone. Hey, hey, honey, I'm home. Oh, rub my neck, will you? Run away. It's your
Now, this is a sign that you're a home wizard. If you're loving talking about home improvement, but I am so excited to hurry up when we're done with the show because I want to paint our walls.
Yeah, I know.
I can't
Boy,
wait.
and you've got something coming that's going to be gorgeous.
I can't wait.
I know.
So,
I love the color.
it's
You want to tell them?
Sure.
Okay.
It's an old navy, and that's the color of the blue. And it's basically, the idea is it's supposed to feel like a man's navy suit with a crisp white shirt. So
Well,
the
that's what it
ceiling,
is.
the ceiling is white, white, white. We took
Yeah.
it from cream
Yeah.
to just, it's
Stark white.
ultra white. I mean, I would never paint a room that white, but now with that white ceiling and the
Yeah.
molding so white, it's already amped up the lighting from all the windows that we have.
Sure.
Because we don't need curtains. We're in this kind of a private area. And so it's so bright, you almost need sunglasses. And
Oh,
then the
this is
navy
great.
is going to then mute it, and it's
Sure.
going to feel cozy.
Feels rich and cozy.
It's going to be amazing. Well, you have kind of a navy.
I got a super dark
an
wall.
ocean blue.
Yeah.
Just
very,
one wall?
Very dark. No, the whole room.
The whole room.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels
yeah.
great.
And you know what looks great on it? Gold leaf frames.
I can't wait.
Oh, boy.
That's the kind of frames we have.
Oh, my goodness, Rob! Rob!
So speaking of frames, let's talk about more
By the way,
ways.
that was my Dick Van Dyke
Yeah.
impersonation.
Oh, Rob.
Yeah, no, that's better.
I want to talk about more ways to display your collections.
Yeah.
Things on the wall. After you've painted the wall or you haven't yet, this is a way to show off your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that if you collected even snow shovels, like antique shovels, or even like surfboards, think of anything and just put it on the wall. And as long as you have at least 3 to 6 of them, it looks like kind
I
of
agree.
amazing.
And it's got to have intention that it is a collection, because I'll tell you, I did this show called Clean Sweep for a million years, and people would always try and pawn off the fact that they were not hoarding because these were collections or collectibles, right? And really what they were
an
doing was
excuse.
just keeping a bunch of junk that no one wanted, especially the spouse. Like, he claims to be collecting the baseball cards, and he never, and if you don't ever see them and they're not featured and hanging up on a wall, it's not a collection. It's something that's either in storage, taking up room that you don't have, or you're just hoarding stuff that is unnecessary. So you do have to make the distinction. Make it featured, up front, prominent, lit well. If it's something you love, great, even better, and honor what you have.
Yeah,
Right.
very, very good to say that, because,
Yeah.
otherwise, if you do have these collections that are just being wasted, Well, why are you having them?
There you go.
I mean, if
because
they're
you're
not-
you're thinking someday they're either they're going to be valuable, and if that's the case, and you have a lot of stuff that
Right.
you're hanging on because you claim to be this kind of a person,
Have them appraised.
great,
and
have
then-
them appraised,
yeah.
or rent a space and agree that you're going to commit a couple $100 a month on a rental space and get it out of your house so that you can have more room where you need it.
That's
right?
a good point too.
Yeah,
Because space is premium.
premium.
You know.
Yeah.
You can also turn, if you have a kind of a country style decor, you can turn some country icons into kind of a minimal masterpiece. You know, maybe if you had some built-in shelves and vintage boxes, or I love vintage suitcases too. You know what I mean?
Sure. Those are really cute.
Yeah.
I like those too. And again, back to your clocks. That's a really, really great thing, because you've been in broadcasting for a long time. So, the idea that you now have taken something that you truly love, it's your career and your passion, and there's such artistic, beautiful creativity in all these different
radios
old
are-
radios.
I mean,
yeah.
they date back to the 20s.
I know,
You know?
and they're most of them are
They
operational.
all
right?
work.
See, that's
that was
pretty
the
cool.
rule. I didn't want to get one that didn't work.
That's a good idea.
So, anyway, let's say that you had thank you notes. All right.
Yeah.
Had you have thank you notes that you've ever saved, or any kind
I
of
do. I
or
actually
letters?
do. I do have some.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say if you saved even Christmas cards
Yeah.
or any kind of a special love you letters or whatever, you can display them instead of collecting dust somewhere trapped in making a junk drawer. You could now turn them into almost like a little mini chandelier by clipping them to
Oh, that's kind of
like
cute.
let's say over the kitchen dining room table. You know what I'm saying? Or you could then, of course, you could frame them and put them on the wall. But if you aren't going to do something like that, you might want to pare down your.
Well,
your-
and I kind of do this once a year with the holiday cards. I put them all out in a certain area.
cute.
You know, and
Where do
then
you put them on the wall?
Just
or-
no, we put them on the
On a
the
table?
dining room table,
Uh-huh.
right in the center, and then you get to say things like, "Wow, the Thompsons sure have aged." Honey, do I look better than Bill?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you believe he's the same age?
oh no! It's a good conversation.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
But you could also group eclectic items together. Like, how about Indian hand mirrors? Or I know that you have some hand mirrors, I think, in your master
I do,
bathroom.
yeah,
Like those
Silver antique ones, yeah.
But imagine, like, if this was in a dining room or, no, I'm sorry, not a dining, but a bedroom or master bathroom, it's kind of cool to have, that kind of the mirror beauty kind of a theme.
It shows this, eclectic nature of the people that are in the home. I think it's really pretty, especially again, if there are things that have you have personal attachment to.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just stuff that no one cares about, and you're just doing it to do it. It doesn't have as much impact as if you have a story for it.
Right.
I think.
Now, for you guys visit Michigan
Yes, we
for
do.
a summer vacation.
Uh-huh,
And
yeah.
let's say that if you had a summer retreat, a place where you go and it had a lot of legacy and family memories, just like, my husband's family, they have a place that's kind of like that. You might want to decorate little nooks where it's regional tools.
Cute.
Let's say that it's kind of like Nantucket, like special like fishing tools or lobster trap, and some of those glass floats, and it kind of gives it a little theme.
Yeah.
And it's nostalgic.
Yeah, there's this area up there called Petoskey, and there's these things called Petoskey
The Petoskey
stones.
stone,
right?
yes.
So we have a couple of those in
See?
a little corner,
You didn't say
which
it
have
right,
turned
though.
Petoskey.
Thank you.
Petoskey stones.
Gotta have to.
Yeah, that's
you
the
have to say it
Michigan,
like
the Michigander. Yeah, it's funny.
Anyway, some more ways to display your collections. How about putting kitchenware on display? If you had like floor to ceiling shelves, accessible
Oh
even
yeah,
by
those are great.
even by a rolling ladder, almost like in those libraries, Now this wouldn't be great for
And
earthquake.
I'll tell you,
hunting.
those are not hard to build.
Really? How?
We'll get into that in another
Okay,
segment
well, give
someday.
us a
but,
sneak peek.
Well, I mean, it's really just plywood that you can rip, like birch plywood that they sell to make cabinetry, and you can cut that stuff to the size of shelves if you have a table saw pretty easily, and then you just face that plywood with a piece of 1x material in the front of it. So then it looks like a big, thick, blocky shelving system when really all it is a piece of finished 3/4 inch plywood that you've attached this facing to. So like you know,
It's like Hollywood. It's like a
so these
facade.
huge shelving systems that you see in restaurants, and you know, they're all built that way. It's not a big thick piece of wood. It's just the size of the hardwood that you attach to the front of the shelving system. That makes it
Cheaters.
look. I know.
Cheaters.
I know they're cheaters, but boy, does it look great, and it's not expensive, and it's really not that hard to do.
And where do you get, what is that front
That's
piece
just
called?
that's just a piece
Like
of one by
molding?
yeah, exactly. It's a piece of molding. It comes in, you know, any kind of finish, any
And
kind
that
of
gives it
wood you
the
can imagine.
richness.
That gives the richness, and you can stain the birch plywood a dark color, put a finish on it, or you can paint them, and you'd never know that they weren't big, thick, blocky shelving.
Well, that kind of
systems.
reminds me of our entertainment center, which we had to dismantle because we're about to paint our family room in this navy blue.
Sure.
When you take some of the pieces apart and you go, it looked like this really rich, expensive piece of wood cabinetry, and it's not. It's like cheapo
Yeah.
with just the front. It just has front nice,
That's
rich
it.
molding, and that's all it is.
That's all cabinetry is
The rest
that
is just
anyway.
this flat,
I know.
cheapo
Well,
thing.
think about kitchen cabinets. They're just they're plywood boxes basically.
Cheap, 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 cheap,
cheap,
cheap,
cheap, cheap, cheap, cheap, cheap, with real wood doors.
Wow,
That's
it's so
all it is.
disappointing.
Well, don't be upset. Listen, it's not
I-
disappointing when you're trying to get
No,
cabinets
no,
built.
I know,
Because
I
if you do
know,
it all
I
in
know.
real wood, it
I
costs you a
know.
fortune.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
good. So now we're confident we can do that because
Yeah,
that's
you
a good
can.
way to display, especially if you collect that kind of whiteware where all of
I
your
love that
plates
stuff.
and dishes, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're all that nice
That white on white.
And then when you have these shelves painted a certain color all the way up to the ceiling, that becomes a great display.
And I'm gonna go crazy on
gosh,
you right now.
here
But
goes.
what if you do books and then you get the covers in the color of the white on white on white?
Oh my gosh.
Hello. And you know, there's a company out there that actually makes book shelving displays that create a pattern.
Huh.
It's really cool. Have you seen this?
So what you mean
So,
is
for
that
example, say you have a wall of shelves that have books on them from floor to ceiling, side to side.
so the book covers.
There's a company that makes covers to then create a template of an image.
I got it.
And the books become part of that.
So it's like color by the dots. They
There
probably
you
take
go.
a photo
That's
and then
it.
now
and
it's
they digitize and turn
Uh-huh.
it into this whole scheme.
so when you look up close, you see dots, but when you stand back,
yeah,
it's now
or
a
even
picture of,
solid shapes to make whatever pattern you want.
Neat.
It's really beautiful.
and that's on a website
yeah,
somewhere.
I can't. I'll try and find it for next show and put it on the website. But it's beautiful, and there's a lot of companies that do it. I think it's in Colorado. I think it's in Boulder, actually.
So maybe you could just Google like turning book covers into art.
There you go,
or something like
Yeah,
that.
and
That sounds
these
neat.
guys that pop up. Yeah,
Wow.
it's really cool. Really something else.
How about also another great way to display your collections is to make a vignette. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you have some old baguette boards and some old rattan wine baskets and kind of just display this in your dining room, and it looks like it's intended there. It's not
Oh
just
my God, we're
mishmash.
in France.
I
It has that
know.
look, doesn't it? Yeah, I love that too.
Or how about if you have this little cabinet that has all these little teeny tiny box squares?
Sure.
And then you put shells and, dare I say, nests?
No, you're not bringing
And natural
nests.
things
All
in
right, we'll
there,
try it.
maybe.
I don't know.
All right. Hope that helps you with your collections. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. We love helping you improve your home and improve your life. This is Home Wizards.